Morning. It is Monday, the 18th of November, and my big road trip to Johannesburg starts. I've got my snacks, I've got everything that needs to be delivered with the van, and I am a little bit tired after a great weekend of partying, but I have to hit the road. It's 1,500 kilometers, and I'm going to do it over 3 days so that I can appreciate this lovely place that we live in. I don't just want to drive past, I want to appreciate and stop quite often. So let's hit the road. The first stop is to fuel up, get the best price diesel in Cape Town, and then I'm off. Okay, so I finished faffing, fueling up, dropping off a broken wheelchair, and I am at last ready to hit the road. Let's get out of the city. So we're hitting the road, 1,460 kilometers till Johannesburg, and another 100 or so to Pretoria.
It was great to hit the open road and get through the Dutushlof Tunnel on the way north. Heading through the Karoo with my first stop being Maatjiesfontein with its historic buildings. It's a great stop on the way north on the N1 highway to soak up some history and just take a break from your long drive. I then pushed on further north through the Karoo. Karoo is a Khoisan word that means dry or desolate place, and that is exactly what it is.
Good morning. So I got the cheapest room in town in Beaufort Face, and I'm up very early, ready to hit the road. Rooms was quite okay. Still too expensive in my opinion for what you get, but yeah. I was very tired, so I'm feeling much better and fresher this morning and ready to hit the road. So let's go and pack up and hit the road. Very good idea to get early on the road. I've skipped breakfast. I'll have breakfast a bit further on, but I just wanted to get past most of the big trucks, as there's a lot of big trucks taking freight between Joburg and Cape Town. So I've got a bit of open road ahead of me. I'm gonna have breakfast in about an hour, and it's a beautiful day. It's gonna get very hot, so I'm happy that I'm gonna be away from the Karoo when the heat hits. It's going to be in the mid-30s here, but yeah, let's enjoy the wonderful drive through the Karoo, a semi-desert area, an enormous area of the inside of South Africa. But let me show you a bit of the drive. Let's go.
The Karoo is a stargazer's dream due to the clear skies. You can also find some of the oldest rock formations in South Africa in the Great Karoo.
After 800 kilometers of the Western Cape province, we have finally left it and have entered the Orange Free State. And suddenly there's a lot more color around. Farming, corn, mealies, etc. is farmed in the Orange Free State, and suddenly there is trees again. But it changed from the Karoo to see a scattering of green again. And there is a few small koppies or hills in the distance. I've got another 200 kilometers to Bloemfontein, where I'll be spending the night at my friend Duke's place. A lot more trucks, so my average speed has dropped considerably. The stop and goes have bunched up all the trucks, so it's a little bit more challenging. But let's go. As I'm approaching Bloemfontein, the weather has suddenly changed. It's still hot, but the thunder clouds are gathering. I can hear thunder in the distance. Feels slightly humid, but a little bit cooler. So for the last push, it's a welcome relief. But I might still get some rain. I can actually now see rain in the distance. But yeah, it's a hop, skip and a jump, and then I can relax and catch up with some friends. the landscape is still changing. It's still quite flat. I can see a lot more water and green grass. Even a dam, quite a big dam on the right hand side as I keep heading north.
I have some great friends staying in Bloemfontein, and one of them, Doop, invited me to come and spend the night with them.
Very good morning from Bloemfontein. Up again very early, hitting the road as soon as possible. It's around 8 o'clock and it's the last 450 km to Johannesburg. It's all highway and toll gates, unfortunately, from here, but it should be a much faster ride. Trying to get to Joburg before 1 o'clock if possible. But the roads are good, the weather's looking nice, clear skies and a little bit of wind. So let's go and see the big dirty Johannesburg. And welcome to Gauteng province, where Johannesburg and Pretoria is, where they make the most money in South Africa and where you get the most mine heaps, where Cape Town has the beaches and the pretty people and the mountains and the beautiful nature. Joburg has the money. The landscape is a lot greener, a lot more built up, and I can start to see some mine heaps in the distance, and a lot of buildings where the Karoo had about no people living, and Gauteng is the most populated province of South Africa. So now I'm heading to Adrian and Louise to go and drop off some camping gear that we are storing with them until we get our new vehicle, because we want to camp with them once we receive the vehicle next year. So they have volunteered to keep us some stuff. So let me show you a little bit of Joburg, and let's head to Adrian and Louise. Dropped off all the equipment, and I'm happy to say it's the last stretch through the main traffic between Johannesburg and Pretoria for my final destination. I'm not used to driving Johannesburg. Last time I had a co-pilot that helped me. So it's a little bit of focus, especially with this wheelchair box, which makes my view limited. Luckily I have the camera at the back. That does help, but soon with our new conversion I will have a much better view, as we are getting rid of this big piece of metal sticking out on the side where my wheelchair is. Yeah, so let's hit Pretoria, and then I can have a welcome rest and not drive again. And tomorrow we will start the final disassembly of a Fudu, so that we can start building the Fudu version 2. Good morning. I'm on my way to the workshop at our campers, and one thing I will not miss, and maybe this is the last time I'll do it, is putting this wheelchair in this box. Especially big bulky off-road chair. So we're saying goodbye to older food today. It's a little bit sad. It's a little bit sad, but also happy for new beginnings. I do get a lot of questions about how I drive without using my legs. And the answer is I do use my left leg for the clutch, and the rest is very easy. I've got an accelerator here, I have a brake on this end, and the clutch I do with my left leg, as I have one muscle working on the leg, and the rest is just rods going down from the accelerate on the wheelchair from the pedals and from the brake. I use the system because it's easy to fix. There's no electronics involved. You can move it from vehicle to vehicle, and there is really no maintenance needed. I've had it for many years, and I've moved it from vehicle to vehicle. Simplicity and easy to maintain, and easy to fix, very important when overlanding, especially if you're in remote areas and there's nobody that can assist you. And here we are at CAMPER.
And then it was time to start the final stripping of Ufudu's camper. And he did not give up easily. It was quite a battle to remember how it was added to the load bin and exactly where to remove it. So Neil and his team did a great job, but it took them quite a few hours of figuring it out, removing all the bolts and nuts, and then cutting through the Sikaflex that was the final sealant between the camper and the load bin. Thank you guys, I appreciate all the hard work. But finally, the camper was off. And then it was time to remove the load bin from the bakkie. And that was another battle.
Ya guys, tiap puente. Varias puente.
And at last, it's off.
Getting the load bin off was even more complicated. We first had to disconnect all the wiring, the reverse camera and the lights. And then there was 8 mounting points which needed to be found and the bolts removed. Some of the bolts were very rusted, so this took quite a while. But finally, by the next morning, we could remove the bin and I could inspect the chassis.
After a big fight, eventually the bin is off and over there. And the chassis is looking good. One of the mounting points actually has been broken off for quite a while. There's somewhere a leak on the petrol tank that we need to find before we put the flatbed on. And there is dust and soil from all over Africa that we need to get rid of. The bumper we will most likely replace. We need to extend the camper for another 110 millimeters. Condition of the chassis and the petrol tank is quite good. The body here needs to be resprayed or the painted on off morning. And the shocks we will decide on later, but we will most likely add a leaf spring and new shock absorbers. Ufudu is looking quite small.
The base of our fiberglass camper was already built by the time I got to Pretoria. So this was a good opportunity for me to discuss all the details with Jos. There was 100 little things to talk through, but the most important was how I would put my wheelchair in the camper and how everything would be put together so that I can enter and exit the camper as easily as possible. This was a big change from our previous setup, so we had to be sure we get things right. as we would only be coming up to Johannesburg one more time before the camper would be finished, and that we would collect it. And that would hopefully be at the end of April 2025. I could also look through an example of the power setup that we would have in our camper. This gave me a very good idea of the location and how our campers do their electronic setup. And then it was time for me to hop back into Uber to visit our friends Louise and Adrian in Pretoria before I took my flight back to Cape Town that evening. It was a great visit and very productive time in Pretoria. In our next episode, we update you on our camper build and we fly up to Pretoria for the last time to make sure everything is ready so that we can collect our camper.
First impressions, honey?
I'm super excited.
That's a story for another time. Please head over to patreon.com/Fearless on 4 Wheels to subscribe and get these videos first and view them ad-free. Or like and subscribe this video to support our channel. Thank you for watching.